Hey guys, it's the Joker here back to you today with another video, and today I wanted to take the time to talk about the fact that I really wish that Eminem would have released a expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2021, which would have been the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album that he originally released in the year 2000. And, I can completely understand why he didn't release a expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year even 2020, even though that would have made the most sense since that would have been the 20th year anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album. But I can see why he didn't, because not only did he release two rap albums that year, Music to Be Murdered By Side A and Side B Deluxe Edition, but also because of the COVID pandemic, it threw him off, because I'm pretty sure he originally intended to and planned to even release the expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album. I mean, after all, he released the expanded edition of his Slim Shady LP album in 2019, which was on the 20th year anniversary of his Slim Shady LP album, so it would have made the most logical sense for him to have released a expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2020. But again, the reason he didn't is because he released two rap albums that year, two surprise rap albums, that is, Music to Be Murdered By Side A and Side B Deluxe Edition, but also, and mainly because of the COVID pandemic, it threw him off. So it pretty much ruined or hurt his chances of releasing a expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album. But I don't see why he couldn't have, at least at the very latest, release a expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2021, which would have been on the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album. I literally cannot see any reason at all why he couldn't have released a stupid fucking bullshit ass expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album at the very possible latest in the year 2021. In 2021, on what would have been the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album. It just frustrates me. It makes me furious as hell that Eminem didn't at least think in his dumb, retarded, fucking slow mind that, oh, hey, I could at least release an expanded edition of my Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2021. Because after all, guess what? He didn't release anything that year. He didn't release anything in 2021 at all, whatsoever. And so I honestly do not see why he couldn't have at least in that year been like, hey, you know what? I could release the expanded edition of my Marshall Mathers LP album this year in 2021. I mean, since I wasn't able to release it in 2020 because I already released two rap albums that year, and because of the COVID pandemic, it threw me off. But at least I can make it up and at the very latest release it on the 21st anniversary of my Marshall Mathers LP album. But guess what? He didn't, and that is so fucked up on his part. It is literally so damn ridiculous that he didn't do that. And I'm sure it would have been so fucking easy and simple for him to have released an expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2021 at the very latest, on the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album that he originally released in the year 2000 when he was 27. So if he would have released it on the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album in 2021, he would have been 48 years old, and then he could still release the expanded edition of his Eminem Show album, which he did in 2022 when he was 49 on the 20th year anniversary of his Eminem Show album. But it just doesn't make any logical fucking sense why he didn't, before releasing the expanded edition of his Eminem Show album, that he didn't think to release the expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2021. I mean, how can anyone not be enraged about this? Because after all, his Marshall Mathers LP album came out before his Eminem Show album. So it would have made the most sense to have released the expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album before releasing the expanded edition of his Eminem Show album. You can see why I'm pissed off about this. I mean, literally. This really annoys the hell out of me. It irritates me. He is such an absolute idiot and moron for not doing that. I swear. And you know what else pisses me off is the fact that before even making and releasing expanded editions of his Slim Shady LP and Eminem Show albums, he didn't even think to, I don't know, on the 10th year anniversary of his first 3 albums, being his Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and Eminem Show album, make and release deluxe editions of those 3 first albums of his, which were by far easily his greatest and best rap albums that he himself had ever made and released to the public, to the world. Back when they originally were released in 1999, 2000, and 2002. Regarded as his greatest and best projects, work, albums, whatever you want to call them. And those 3 albums came out during the time that Eminem was, in his youth, in his 20s, in the prime of his rap career. So I literally do not see or understand why that Eminem didn't even ever think to or even want to make and release deluxe editions of those first 3 albums of his before even, making and releasing expanded editions of those albums of his. And, the deluxe editions, hypothetical deluxe editions of those 3 albums of his could have came out, on the 10th year anniversary of each of those damn albums of his, which would have been 2009 when he would have been 36, 2010 when he would have been 37, and 2012 when he would have been 39. He could have released on the 10th year anniversary of each of those 3 albums of his deluxe editions, with maybe different covers for deluxe editions of those albums of his. And then, of course, and obviously, on the 20th year anniversary of his Slim Shady LP album, which would have been 2019, the expanded edition. And then in 2021, at the very latest, on the 21st anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album, the expanded edition of that album of his. And then, of course, and obviously, in 2022, when he would have been 49, the expanded edition of his Eminem Show album. I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous. It is absolute bullshit. It's bullshit that not only did Eminem not think to release the expanded edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album on the 21st anniversary of that album of his, which would have been in 2021 when he would have been 48 years old. And of course, before even releasing the expanded editions of any of his albums, mainly his earlier work, that he didn't think to make and release deluxe editions on, say, like I said before and earlier in this video, the 10th year anniversary of those 3 albums of his. It just doesn't make any logical sense to me why he didn't do that. Because, I've looked up, when do, deluxe editions of rap albums usually come out? And, according to Google, because Google does have a lot of facts, and it said that deluxe editions of rap albums usually and normally come out years after they were originally released. Or, of course, and obviously, in like the late 2000s and especially early 2010s, which is when deluxe editions of rap albums really started to take off. I would say was most of all in the early 2010s and onward. But even in the late 2000s, they started to become a thing. Deluxe editions of rap albums. I mean, a lot of rappers in the late 2000s were releasing deluxe editions. Like in the 90s and in the 80s, they weren't really a thing. Hell, even in the early 2000s, even mid 2000s, like up until 2005, they weren't really a thing. They weren't really a thing until about 2006, 2007 and onward, when they started to take off. And like I said, especially in the early 2010s, they especially started to take off and became a really, popular thing to make and release a deluxe edition of your rap album and not just only release and have a standard edition of your rap album. And that's why I say it would have been so fucking perfect if Eminem wouldn't have been such a little bitch and would have released deluxe editions of his first 3 albums on the 10th year anniversary of each of them, in 2009, 2010, and 2012. And then, of course, and obviously, for the expanded editions, 2019, 2021, and 2022. That would have been a dream come true for me. That would have meant the world to me. And you know what I also hate is the fact that even on the expanded editions of like his Slim Shady LP and Eminem show albums, he hardly put that, many songs even on the expanded editions of those 2 albums of his. I mean, he honestly didn't. Before the expanded edition of his Slim Shady LP album came out, or like when it did, I was actually really excited, because at first I thought, oh man, maybe, just maybe, Eminem will release, Low Down Dirty, No One's Ziller Than Me featuring D12, Murder Murder, Till Hell Freezes Over, Ghost Stories, aka Demon Inside, Get You Mad, and, maybe some other unreleased Slim Shady LP songs. Just maybe. I really did think that. I honest to God thought that. And you may call me an idiot, moron, a fool, stupid, retard, dumb, or whatever for, thinking and assuming that would have happened. But it didn't. And I was really let down. Especially knowing that on the 20th year anniversary of his Slim Shady LP album, he releases an expanded edition. And, what new songs did he put on that version of his album for the 20th year anniversary of it? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Only Get You Mad and also Bad Guys Always Die featuring Dr. Dre. Really? Those 2. That's it? What the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck? And, for the expanded edition of his Eminem show album, he put the song Stimulate, which he, honest to God, could have put on that album of his when he first originally released it, which would have been such a perfect and great song to, end that album of his way back when it was originally released in 2002 when he was only 29. Or, and oh my God, this is just so frustrating. And then, a lot of fans were actually pretty bummed and disappointed and upset that Eminem thought, it's going to be so cool and awesome when I release Stimulate on the expanded edition of my Eminem show album for the 20th year anniversary of that album of mine. I mean, I literally was reading people's comments online about it, and they were like, wow, Eminem, seriously? Stimulate? I think, if you got the single Cleaning Out My Closet or something back in, I think it was 2002 or 2003, it included the song Stimulate. So it was kind of like, it wasn't really like unreleased or a song that a lot of his fans haven't already heard thanks to YouTube, that, a song that has been on YouTube for like over a decade now. And also, like, he put an unreleased Marshall Mathers LP song, Jimmy, Brian, and Mike, which honestly is fucking weird, because Jimmy, Brian, and Mike is an unreleased Marshall Mathers LP song, not an unreleased Eminem show song. And I'm sure Eminem had fucking plenty of, unreleased Eminem show songs that he probably made for that specific album of his that he could have released for the 20th year anniversary edition, expanded edition of his Eminem show album. But no, he releases an unreleased Marshall Mathers LP song that he also didn't originally finish. And then he added new verses to at the age of fucking 49, even though when he originally recorded that unreleased but also unfinished song of his, he was only 26. So it's a 26-year-old Eminem and a 49-year-old Eminem. Like, wow. I mean, it's still a good song, don't get me wrong, especially knowing that it's unreleased and that it was originally supposed to be on Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP album, but sadly didn't get released on it. And what's interesting about that song, too, is the fact that his friend who was murdered in 2006, sadly, rest in peace, Big Proof, he wanted Eminem to put that song on his Marshall Mathers LP album. Big Proof apparently was really disappointed and upset that Eminem didn't put and release the song Jimmy, Brian, and Mike on his Marshall Mathers LP album, when, of course, and obviously he originally released that album of his back in 2000. But, whatever. But, still, it's just, I don't know, it's annoying. And, no offense, but Jimmy and Brian and Mike doesn't fit on the expanded edition of his Eminem show album because, it doesn't match the tone of that album of his because, again, it was originally a unreleased Marshall Mathers LP song, not an unreleased Eminem show song. And like I said before and earlier in this video, I'm sure that Eminem has plenty, a shitload of unreleased Eminem show songs. Same with Slim Shady LP songs, And this is exactly why I'm so furious and just pissed the fuck off because, before even releasing the expanded editions of his Slim Shady LP and Eminem show albums, on the 10th year anniversary of those two albums of his, he could have released, more songs for both of those albums of his before even releasing the expanded editions. And then when releasing the expanded editions on the 20th year anniversary of both of those albums of his, he could have actually put, unreleased Slim Shady LP songs as well as unreleased Eminem show songs. Same with his Marshall Mathers LP album. Like, on the 10th year anniversary of his Marshall Mathers LP album, he could have released a deluxe edition when he was 37 in 2010. And then on the 21st anniversary, at the very latest, of his Marshall Mathers LP album, which would have been 2021, when he would have been 48 years old, he could have released unreleased Marshall Mathers LP songs that didn't get to make it on the original release of his Marshall Mathers LP album way back in the year 2000 when he was only 27 years old, in his 20s, in his youth, in the prime of his rap career. And you know what's really fucked up about Eminem compared to, most other rappers, especially when it comes to, 90s old school rappers or early 2000s old school rappers, unlike Eminem, is that they released way more songs on their albums, even when they first originally released their albums or projects, whatever you want to call them, back when they originally released them. What's interesting to know about, something I'm about to tell you all right now, is the fact that when a lot of rappers were releasing albums in the 90s and early 2000s and hell, even mid 2000s, they would release, honest to God, I shit you not, about 16 to 17 tracks worth of actual rap songs. 16 to 17 tracks worth of actual rap songs. I just wanted to repeat that one more time to really get that out there. But, Eminem, on the other hand, with his Slim Shady LP album and Marshall Mathers LP album, you know how many songs that he only released on both of those albums of his? Want to take a guess? Compared to most other old school rappers who were releasing rap albums around the same exact time that he was, and who were also young at the time, he only released 14 tracks worth of actual songs on his Slim Shady LP album. 14. Keep that in mind. Only 14. Oh, and how many skits did he have on that album of his? Oh, yeah, that's right. Fucking 6. Fucking 6. Even though it would have been so much better and greater if he would have, limited the amount of skits that he had on that damn wretched-ass album of his. Like, maybe at the most 4, and that's it. I would say even more so, just 3, but I would be fine with 4 at the very most and maximum amount. And, the 4 most important skits on that album of his were, the public service announcement skit, the Paul skit, the bitch skit, which went with the song and track Role Model, and the Ken Kniff skit, because that was one of his really funny comical characters that he himself created back when he was a drug addict and alcoholic, and really funny and humorous way back in the day in his Slim Shady era. But then when it came to skits that were literally, honest to God, not important at all and had no actual meaning and purpose being on that damn album of his, were the skits, the Lounge skit, track 10, and the Soap skit, track 16. And one of the worst songs that was on his Slim Shady LP album was the song My Fault, or track 11. And it would have been so much better if for track 10, he would have put his scrap Slim Shady LP song, Take the World With Me, featuring Pace One and Bizarre, for track 11, instead of the shitty-ass, awful garbage song, My Fault, that I hate so much. If he would have put the scrapped, unfinished, but a finished, completed version of the song of his, Ghost Stories, aka Demon Inside, and instead of the bullshit-ass fucking dumb shit Soap skit, track 16, it would have been so much better and greater if he would have put, maybe or perhaps the scrap Slim Shady LP song, Till Hell Freezes Over. And then on the 10th year anniversary of that album of his, he could have put the songs, and in this order, Get You Mad, Low Down Dirty, No One's Iller Than Me featuring D12, and Murder Murder. 4 songs that were, left out and scrapped from his Slim Shady LP album. And you know what? He could have released those 4 songs for the deluxe edition on the 10th year anniversary of that album of his. And he should have. He should have made and released a deluxe edition and released those 4 songs on the deluxe edition for the 10th year anniversary of that album of his. And then on the 20th year anniversary of that album of his, he could have released, actually unreleased Slim Shady LP songs. Like, 4 or 6 or 8 or however many he wanted to for the 20th year anniversary, which would have been an absolute dream come true. And when originally releasing his Marshall Mathers LP album in the year 2000, when he was 27, he could have put, the unreleased Mom skit and song, and he could have combined them together so that they could just have been one track combined. Just combine the skit and the song together, and the skit would come on before the song would. And then he could have put the scrapped Marshall Mathers LP song, Our House, featuring Fred Durst, which would have been a perfect song to have had and put and included on that album of his when he first originally released it. And you know how, Ronnie's family threatened to sue Eminem if he would have released the song Dear Ronnie. Well, guess what? Eminem could have released that song on at the very latest, the 10th year anniversary of that album of his for a deluxe edition. He could have put, for a deluxe edition of his Marshall Mathers LP album, he could have put The Kids, Dear Ronnie, unreleased, and he could have also put the songs Violence and Angry Blonde, which are also unreleased Marshall Mathers LP songs that he could have released for the deluxe edition on the 10th year anniversary of that album of his. And then on the 21st anniversary edition in 2021, when he would have been 48 years old, he could have released, the unreleased, unfinished song Jimmy, Brian, and Mike, and also Let Us Live. And also, apparently, there was a song that 50 Cent himself stated that he heard around the time that Eminem released his Marshall Mathers LP album that sounded similar to the song Stan. And apparently it was featuring some woman singer-artist, but 50 Cent said he heard a song that was like some unreleased Marshall Mathers LP Eminem song, and he could have released that song. He also could have released a bunch of other ones on the 21st anniversary. And then, when he released his Eminem Show album originally in 2002 when he was 29 years old, he could have put the song Stimulate for the outro ending song for the album of his, which would have been so damn perfect. And then on the 10th year anniversary of that album of his in 2012, when he would have been only 39 while still in his 30s, he could have released a deluxe edition of that album of his, and he could have put, unreleased Eminem Show songs, like at least 4. And then on the 20th anniversary of that album of his, for the expanded edition of his Eminem Show album, he could have put, 4, 6, or 8 more unreleased Eminem Show songs, which would have been perfect and a dream come true. But did he do any of this? No, he did not. Why? I wonder why. Maybe because he's a fucking stupid idiot moron bitch and just an absolute fool. He is so dumb. He is such an idiot. And I mean, it really does enrage me and makes me frustrated and furious as hell that when it came to Eminem, even like I said, when he first originally released those first 3 albums of his, that not only did he not release any of them when I would have wanted him to, but also the fact that, he didn't even really release or put that many songs on any of those albums of his either. He only put 14 on his Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP songs, if you just count the tracks that are actually songs and not the skits. And then on his Eminem Show album, he had 15 songs. So on his Eminem Show album, he actually had 1 extra song than he did on his Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP album. So he actually had more songs or more tracks worth of songs on his Eminem Show album than he did on his first 2 Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP album. It's just annoying. I don't see how you could be a fan of his, or especially a stan, and not be pissed off about this. Honestly, I remember when he released the expanded editions of his Slim Shady LP album, and, a lot of his fans and stans were not that impressed, including myself. I really wasn't. I wasn't having it. I wasn't buying it. Like, wow, two extra songs, and Get You Mad was already released on the special edition of his Slim Shady LP album anyways. It's like, wow, Eminem, you are so cool. You are so awesome, man. I am so impressed and just mind blown that you can release a song that you already released before, at least on a version of your Slim Shady LP album. Oh yeah, that's right. And I'm also impressed that you put the song Bad Guys Always Die featuring Dr. Dre, even though that was already on a movie soundtrack for the one 1999 film that had like Will Smith in it. I forgot what it was called, but it's just so lame. It's so pathetic and pitiful. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say in today's video. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.